As a Scoutmaster, your job doesn't end once a Scout has been inducted in the Order of the Arrow. There are steps you can take that'll make it more meaningful for a life of cheerful service. Hey, ScouterStan, let's talk a little bit about this induction process of the Order of the Arrow. I know that, wait a minute, I'm out of uniform, so let's do this. There we go. I gotta be in uniform, right? Let's talk about this induction. Induction into the Order of the Arrow. If everything gets put together right, it can be very meaningful. The purpose of the Order of the Arrow has so many different meanings, and it's very important that we, as Scout leaders, make it a point to really make this available to as many Scouts as possible. This is a big deal, and it has a lot to do with leadership, and it has a lot to do with understanding their part in everything and in the big picture. It's a big thing. It's more than just wearing a flap and a sash and all that stuff. This is very important for so many Scouts and Scouters. So you have to set it up just right so that they can get the most out of it. Now, as a Scout leader, a lot of times you want to make sure that the Scout is eligible. One of the biggest things that they need to get done is that first class rank. They have to get all their general Scout skills done with. This is something that is a big focus within the first year, 2 years of a Scout joining a troop. They go through that process of earning all the different ranks all the way up to first class. In order to be eligible, this is a requirement for the Order of the Arrow. They have to have first class Scout rank. Now, on the way, they can get the nights camping. Typically, it's 15 nights that they need, and they can use one of their long-term camping experiences, such as a summer camp. They can use those nights. That's all part of getting the eligibility for that. Now, in the recent past, there was some exceptions, but right now it's 15 nights. And with those two big requirements, another big requirement, the third one, is the Scoutmaster has to sign off a recommendation to be elected, that to even be on the ballot. The Scoutmaster has to do that. The Scoutmaster should make sure that the candidates that are on the ballot are serious, because this is a serious leadership opportunity to be inducted into the Order of the Arrow. It's really important that the Scoutmaster points this out to the Scouts. This is not a popularity contest. It's not something that's expected. This is something that is very special. I know I went through the election several times, and as a youth, and that was hard. It was a hard lesson, and it's something that's very serious. The ceremonies that are there at the induction are extremely serious, and they do require a serious commitment from the candidate. Now, preparing a Scout mentally for this induction, it's important that you answer their questions. Don't make it secretive or something that's in the background or something that would scare them. You have to prepare them in an appropriate way. And what I mean by that is that the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, friendly, courteous, kind, those kinds of things are very important. And we want the Scout to understand this is a very high-level scouting experience that they need to have as their induction. And this is something that everybody that's involved will keep the Scout Oath and Law in mind. So they're going to be safe, and they can be trusted to understand that. So this is very important for a lot of young people. They might have anxieties about getting involved in the Order of the Arrow. Now, one of the big things is a service mindset. This is something that a lot of scouts need this opportunity to have the service-minded leadership that needs to be done. This is a big deal, and it's important that the Scoutmaster focuses on that. This is a leadership example. That's one of the things about the induction. When they go through their ordeal, there's a lot of meaning to what actually happens at the ordeal. And this service carries into the troop, it carries into their community, and way into the future. The Brotherhood of Cheerful Service is a lifelong commitment to leadership. The ceremonies that go on at induction are very important, and they're very somber in how they're presented. So this is a critical thing that a lot of scout leaders kind of leave as a mystery. That may not sit well with some scouts. So make sure that they understand that this mindset of leadership and all the examples they are going to be presented when they go to their induction. Now, preparing scouts practically, this is things like the things to pack. One of the big things they will not need and should be discouraged from having is any kind of electronics, tablets, computers, phones. All those things do not go well when you're working and participating in your induction. So try to discourage any electronics. This is something that a lot of scouts may have a problem with. So that might be something you have to bring up so that they understand that this is not the place for that. This is a place to think about what's going on. That's the big thing. And these distractions, and a lot of times these are at camps that don't have cell or any kind of internet access. So all those things really are just distractions. Now, before the induction, there will be handouts given to the elected candidates before the ordeal. So this is go by that. Obviously, you're going to need a sleeping bag. Obviously, you're going to need a ground cloth. These are things that most scouts will have on a regular basis. This is something you need to go through that list. That's an important thing. Let me remind you, you do not need any electronics. Okay, so that you might even, if you have a smart watch or something, leave that at home too. All the electronics are not needed. There are leaders that will have radios if there's an emergency. They will have the ways to get a hold of people if need be. Okay, so there is management involved in this. But as the individual scout and scouter, you do not need electronics. You might be out in an area where you're going to get wet, and your electronics too. So don't be doing that. Now, it seems a little strange that we're talking about this right at the fall part of the year. A lot of units up north, they do their inductions right during the summer camp. So that's something that happens up north. In the south, they often will do their inductions in the off season with camps. So it really varies where you are. Be mindful of what's going on in your area. If you're in, say for instance, you're in Central Florida, you're going to be in the winter. Okay, it's going to be in January because that's the only time it is really cold, but it's also very wet. So make sure for wherever you're getting inducted that you tell the scout to be prepared. Hey, before we go any further, I want to make sure that you're invited to the campfire chat. Now, this is our live meeting we have each month on the first Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a fantastic way to get involved with live chat, and we have special guests. We have all kinds of neat things that go on. So definitely check that out. I also want to thank all of the Patreon members of this channel. In addition to that, I also want to thank all of the channel members right here on this channel. They have a fantastic group of people on this channel. They get a lot of perks. They get a lot of little icons and all kinds of neat stuff. But definitely check that out. If you're interested in becoming a member, definitely hit the little join button. It'll tell you more information. That's a great way to make this channel even better. Make it a part of what you do. And I'm so proud of you. We're just gonna jump right back in. Now, as a troop leader or an assistant scoutmaster or scoutmaster, these are things that need to be addressed. Encouragement is a big deal. When you encourage those very young scouts, they have scouts that within a year of Cub Scouts, they've gotten first class and the 15 nights camping, and they're ready, but they're kind of nervous. This is a huge next step. So that the scout leader needs to talk with them and encourage them, give them encouragement to move forward with their election. And being an elected leader, they're needed by those who elected them. That becomes very clear in the induction. The scout leader needs to make sure that they are logistics. They can figure out who's taking them to camp and who's picking them up and bringing them back and where they're going and so on. There's a lot of logistics that need to be done. Not a whole lot with equipment, because with a scout going into the Order of the Arrow, it depends on where it is. The logistics will change. But if you're going to summer camp and they're doing their inductions at summer camp, it's a little bit different. You don't have to worry about driving around and stuff like that. So if it's outside of that, if it's in the off season for camp, this is something that a lot of southern troops will do. They'll have their stuff during the winter, whereas up north they might have it all in the summer. So it depends. Logistics has to be worked out. The next big thing, of course, is talking with the parents. Now, in the past, we tried to be as vague as possible. No. With safeguarding youth, we are under the obligation to keep our youth safe. And full disclosure to parents is encouraged. This is something that in the past it was like, oh, you're breaking things, you're not upholding the traditions of the Order. No, that's not scouting. If you're going to be vague about things, you need to be very clear. If they ask a clear question, you need to answer that correctly with the truth. That is very important with parents. Now the thing is, the reason we want to keep the mystery, we want them not to think too far ahead. Okay, if you know everything that's going to happen, you're going to have preconceptions of what you're going to do. So it's better to have it come at them as it's occurring. So we try to keep the traditions of the Order of the Arrow exclusive to those who are going to experience, so that we don't mess it up. It's like telling somebody they're going to have a surprise party, or telling somebody what they're getting for Christmas or Hanukkah, or no, don't mess that up. Make it special, and that's why we honor those traditions. But with parents, and they have a legitimate question, as a scout leader, you answer it. Also, as a scout leader, there's a lot of follow-up. After the induction, there might be questions. Parents might be the actual ordeal member coming back from the ordeal, may have questions about what happened. So you need to be there to kind of help with answering questions. Now, a good little suggestion I would have is, if you're the scout leader, make sure that you have members of the Order of the Arrow in your unit that can actually help them ask questions, because it would be very hard if you had 4 scouts go and they all have questions coming back with 4 scouts at the same time on just the Scoutmaster. That's really hard. It'd be better to have youth that are already in the Order of the Arrow to kind of mentor them and answer questions. This is a big thing in a lot of units. You don't want that confusion to get out of control. You want to be able to answer their questions, and so they get more out of it, so that they can actually participate more. Now, as a Scoutmaster, you have a lot going on. So I would highly recommend to go to the down below, where there is an actual sheet that you can download. Okay, it's a PDF, and from that is a checklist, and this is very important so you don't miss anything. The very first thing, of course, on our list here is to verify the eligibility of the scout. Submit the nominations on time. This varies depending on where you're doing your induction. Encourage your election with your unit, troops, crews, or ships. This is something that a lot of scouts really are looking forward to. Prepare the scouts for expecting things that are going to go on. This is a big thing for a lot of youth. Provide a packing list so that they can be ready for the induction. Remember to talk with parents and work on logistics. Who's driving who and where and when. That's very critical to a successful induction. Encourage reflection on what happened at the ordeal. This is very important for a lot of new ordeal members. Scout leaders need to make sure that they support the Order of the Arrow for your new ordeal members, so that they can go to chapter meetings, so that they can participate in Order of the Arrow events. This is very important for every unit to think about. Now, here are some extra tips. Now, we briefly talked about mentors. You can have mentors for the scouts and scouters that have gone through their induction. This is important with a lot of the scouts and scouters that have been through that same experience. That's important that they help them with any questions that they may have. The ordeal goes rather quickly. Even though it's over a weekend, it flies by. It's so fast. And there might be some questions. So pairing them up with someone who has been there or did their Brotherhood, that's very helpful for them. Ceremony respect is critical to helping the scout uphold the reverency of the actual ceremonies. So being reverent is very important when you're talking about these things. Make sure that it's something that both people talking understand all the things that happen. There's a lot of little key points, and it's important that they're reverent to others who may not have had the opportunity to go through the ordeal. This is being reverent to them not knowing those things. It's not a secret, but it is something you don't want to spoil. So being reverent to those ceremonies and reverent to others, that's important. Develop a troop culture. This is something that a lot of successful troops will actually encourage this. This is something that a lot of the older scouts may want to be more involved with. Mainly because none of the new scouts are there. So I've known that that's happened. But this culture is really a wonderful way. And they mix with other troop members. Okay, that's another thing that happens at these ordeal weekends. They get to, with their peers, in their same groups, they may have different troops. There may be two from one troop, 207, and then there's another one from 416, and it's amazing. It's amazing how they can actually work as a chapter with all the different units. It's an amazing thing. And then they come back, and all that leadership skills that they learn, they bring it back to the troop. That's awesome. You want to encourage that environment back in your own troop, in your own cruise ship. That's so important. Now, hopefully you got all that information. This is a big deal with a lot of scouts that are not in the Order of the Arrow. And it's a big deal for us in the Order of the Arrow. So definitely think about all these different aspects, getting them ready, so that when you go to summer camp, or you're going through your fall camporee and they're going to do call out and so on, they have a lot of things. They have elections and things that need to be done. So this is something that, as a scout leader, you need to make sure that everything is ready so it can happen. It would be terrible if it just fell apart at the last minute. So we need to make sure that all these things are ready, so that when the election happens, it can. And it's a wonderful thing. I myself went through elections several times, so it took a while, but I made it. So it's been wonderful. But that's the thing with inductions, and we do a lot for our scouts, and this is just one of many things. It's being ready, being prepared for induction into the Order of the Arrow. There's a lot of neat videos. There's usually 2 or 3 every season about the Order of the Arrow, so definitely check them out. And I do have one that is right over there. So check that one out. That's about parents, what parents need to know about the Order of the Arrow. Till next time, I'll see you on the trail.